Adoption was legalised in 1952, since when over 40,000 adoptions have taken place, affecting nearly every family in Ireland. These are some of their stories. In the 1960s, John and Dorothy Downey from New Jersey in the US adopted a little girl from Bessborough Mother and Baby Home in Cork. Her name was Margaret Mary and she was 2 years old. She still has memories of how strange and confusing her arrival was.
I didn't understand what these people were saying to me. They spoke funny. They changed my name from Margaret Mary to Maureen. I didn't know who Maureen was. Excuse me. Crazy.
Her brother John had also been adopted from Bessborough a year earlier. Although they were brought up brother and sister, they're not blood relatives. In their early years, they formed different relationships with their adoptive parents.
I'm not rinsing your capers. You rinse your own
Not
capers.
yet, dear.
My brother was real sweet to them, and they adored him. Truth be known, my adopted mother and I had a very strange relationship. I'm very sure that I was very resentive of anyone trying to take a place of my birth mother. I have a feeling that we were very close. I got my nursery records, and it says I was nursed for 6 months. How could you nurse your own baby and then be expected to give it up? My mother was a hero to me. She did the most impossible thing. She got me dressed. She gave me a little suitcase, put me in a little sweater she had knitted for me, and she let them take me. I used to think about it all the time. Would I like her? Would she like me? Would I make her proud? Would we have been able to survive if she had been able to keep me?
I was there too, till 3 in the morning.
2003, I got in touch with Bessborough. They got in touch with my birth mother. Her first reaction was, of course I want to meet her. But then they told her that she had better go through counseling before she meets me. And then, of course, she backed down.
I thought it was a great idea for her to start the search, you know. I was kind of sad when the mother didn't want any parts of her, you know, so I think it's a very good idea that she finds a mother. It'll fill a hole in her heart.
Shin pad. Yeah, shin pad.
Now, I'm not letting anybody stop me this time. I want to meet her. I want her to know how much I appreciate her. It's been 50 years praying for a chance to get here. And if I was going to share that with anybody, it would be with Bob. He's my rock. I couldn't be here without him. I'd fall apart.
It's been 50 years since Maureen left Ireland, and she's heading to the only place that lives in her memory, Bessborough in Cork. It will also be the first time she meets Chris Kerwin, who was also adopted from Bessborough around the same time. They met some years ago on Facebook.
I was 2 years old when I left. I know people say, oh, you don't have memories, but you really do. You have memories. And sometimes your mind gets weak enough that you remember things. The floor's the same.
Remember that?
Yeah, the floor. Because you could walk like this on it. And you just step on the red ones.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
As a child?
Yeah.
My God.
Run by the Sisters of the Sacred Heart, Bessborough Mother and Baby Home operated between 1922 and 1996. Women stayed during the late stages of pregnancy, and after the birth, the mother would often stay with the baby until it was adopted.
I think the main problem with our type of adoptions is that there was no closure for either of us. And getting to talk to her and let her know how grateful I am for what she did, I think might ease a little bit of her, too, and give her some closure in her life. You know, we're not getting any younger, and like it's been said many times, is that this ends with us.
It's been almost 10 years since Maureen abandoned her first search, and today she's hoping that a meeting with the HSE social worker can provide her with information about her birth mother.
They had the person's number in there. Would they contact the mother for her?
More than likely I would, but maybe not today. Maybe today would be soon, you know.
Hope she comes out with a smile.
Well, if she's not, you better run.
After meeting with Maureen, her social worker asked her to step outside while she called her mother to see if she would agree that they could meet.
I know, I'm a nervous wreck. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You want me to do it now? And I was like,
She's fantastic.
and I said, really? She goes, it might break your heart. And I'm like, I know, but I gotta know. I gotta know. What do you think, Bob?
It's good news that she's calling her.
I know.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? She says, no.
Well, we'll have to live with that. Yeah.
I know.
So, just remember that you're loved by your family. Yeah. So.
I just get some cold chills.
Oh, you should bring the flask of brandy.
Guys, that's me.
Relax, now you'll be grand.
Okay. There's no absolutes. There's always a chance you can talk them into yes. You know, I'm here now. If she wanted to see me, this would be it.
When she found out before that her mom didn't want to see her, she really broke down and cried.
Of course.
It really hurt her. We were in the process of trying to get tickets and that stuff, come over and that stuff.
That's right. She mentioned that actually. Yeah.
It was really sad.
Hopefully this time will be different.
Yes. It's taken a long time in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only 10 or 15 minutes at the very most, and it felt like 3 hours waiting for an answer.
You okay, love?
No. She doesn't want anything to do with me.
I'm sorry.
No. The moment that it said no and you won't get a chance to meet her, it's like someone cut your legs out from under you.
After a sleepless night and with time running out, Maureen makes one more attempt to tell her birth mother how she feels in a letter.
I decided that I have to try one more time and at least write her a note. And hopefully we'll be able to get that to her in some way or another.
Although she has been told there should be no contact, Maureen still hopes the social worker might read the letter to her mother.
If I gave it to you, would you feel comfortable with calling her and reading it to her since she said no contact? Okay, all right, that's... all right, thank you. So, can I drop it to you today? Okay. Thank you so much. She'll do it. She'll read it to her. She's gonna ring her and she's gonna read it to her.
Oh, keep our fingers crossed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I got it. Okay. I'm very sorry that we did not have a chance to meet. I wanted a chance to get to tell you how grateful I am for all you did for me. I truly hope you are happy and that life has given you all you dreamed of. Because of your sacrifice, I was sent to a great family in the States, and they were very good to me. I can still remember flashes of memories of Bessborough. And the day that you dressed me to go to the States, it must have been very, very hard to do these things, knowing that I was leaving forever. The very last thing I want is to interrupt your life or to hurt you in any way. I will, of course, respect your wishes of no contact and leave the ball in your court, as they say. I am honestly only attempting to complete the circle of my life. You have always been my heroine. I just wanted the opportunity to tell you directly, with all my heart, thank you. With all my heart, love and respect. Yeah. Let's go. Okay. What do you do that without? I've waited 50 years for this chance. And I think that I've gotten it. I've gotten my chance, actually. You know, I mean, even though I didn't meet her, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I feel a warmth, a feeling that I've done everything I possibly could. And somehow, some way, she might feel that it's okay someday. You know, that it's just not her time, I guess, you know. So, yeah, I have to say that I feel pretty good about it. You know, it was definitely worth it. It was definitely worth it.
Multicolored as well. Don't you? I
Elayne was adopted by Jim and Betty Sherlock and grew up in Coolock in Dublin with her brother and sister.
You're gorgeous.
Thank you.
In 2001, after the birth of her daughter Joy, she decided to trace her birth mother.
You get curious as you get older, and when you see people, you start to think, could that be her? Or could that be them? And my family were real supportive. I went to my mum first, and I just said it was something that I was thinking about doing. So my mum decided to help me out then, and she's been supportive through the whole process.
We actually sat down and we discussed it as a family, and we knew where she wanted to go with it, and we said we'll go right to the very end. So she went into the adoption agency, and she had to have her counselling for a couple of months beforehand. Then they started to make contact.
I wrote her a letter to let her know that I've been tracing her. You have to write it really simple, like who you are and your age and the whole lot and about your life. And it's very strange telling somebody that you're related to about you. Like
Elayne's mother, who was now living in England, soon replied to the letter. She explained why she gave her up for adoption all those years ago.
She was young at the time, and that she was in a position where she didn't have any option but to put me up for adoption. And she just thought it would be better for me to be with a better family than her, that she wouldn't be able to raise me on her own. I was hoping that if I did meet her, it would have been just like a catch-up, and eventually we would have been able to build up to like a friendship, if nothing else. Like
Elayne and her mother wrote to each other many times. They arranged to meet on several occasions, but at the last minute, Elayne's mother always cancelled.
When she didn't turn up, when she said that she would, you feel put back and rejected and let down again.
Elayne didn't know whether she was coming, she didn't know whether she was going, she didn't know whether her mother wanted to meet her, didn't want to meet her. We picked up all the pieces every time she cried.
You feel that you've got your hopes up, and then suddenly they're just taken away from you again. The letters went on for about 4 years before I decided enough was enough, that I couldn't cope with any more of it. So I decided to stop contact with her then after that. I went into the adoption agency and asked them what they think, and just said to them, look, I really don't want to go on with this. And they went through every step of it and made sure it was 100% what I wanted before they decided that there was no more letters going to be sent. After we decided that was it, she just said to me, you know, there is another sibling, but she wasn't adopted through here. That's when I found out about Trish then.
Her mother did tell her, in all of the letters that she wrote to her, she was an only child. And I didn't tell you when we found out that she had a sister. Like, that was just unbelievable.
Trish grew up in Santry, close to Elayne's home in Coolock. She was adopted by Margaret and Noel Carey and stays close to her adoptive father since Margaret recently passed away. When she got a letter from her adoption agency, she didn't know what to expect.
I got a letter saying there was a bit of information about my history, and because of the way it was phrased, I thought it was just medical history. So I was actually dreading it because I was thinking, oh, I'm going to go in and they're going to just tell me something awful is wrong with me. And then when I went in with my husband, they said, you know, you've a sister. And I nearly just fainted. I remember just sitting there going, and in my head, all I could hear was kind of the EastEnders, dun, 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 and just sitting there completely in shock and zoning out. They said, oh, she's very nice and she's a hairdresser and she's called Elayne. She'll write you a letter, and if you want, you can write back to her. So I couldn't wait to get the letter. I was so excited about it. And it was just brilliant getting it, because I could just tell from the tone of it that we'd get on. And, you know, she was really nice and she was very sensitive in it. She was saying, look, I'd love to meet you, but I understand if you don't want to. And she didn't seem pushy about it. And she just sounded really absolutely lovely. And I just couldn't wait to meet her.
So straight away, in a matter of days, I had a letter back from her with her email address.
And then she sent me an email and she attached a photo of her passport photo. And it was amazing to see it, because I expected her just to look like me. And then when I saw it, I was just like gazing at it, and I printed it out and I blew it up and I took it home. And my parents were so excited. They just hung it up on the wall and they were like, that's the new family member now.
Both of us just said, look, we'll just meet up and see what happens. And there's no point in writing for ages when we live so close. And so we just met up then the following week.
Her dad drove her to the hotel and I drove Elayne to the hotel, and she sat in the car and I could see her sister sitting in her father's car, and we were waiting for her to get out. She was waiting for Elayne to get out because we knew. And when the two of them stood together, you could see that there was definitely a resemblance between them.
One of the big worries about meeting Elayne, I was really worried she wouldn't like me. I was paranoid about it. I was like, what if she and she just hates me and she kind of walks out, or she thinks you're really boring.
I think the minute we met each other, we knew that there wasn't going to be any negative sides to it, that we did just get along from the beginning.
We had to take photos of our lives, which was like photos of when you're a kid and your communion and your confirmation. And I remember sitting there thinking, God, this is so weird. You know, I should be in those photos, or you should be in those photos.
I think it was 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock that night when eventually she rang and she said, I think you can come up and collect me now. They had spent the whole day together, which was lovely.
Over the following number of years, Elayne and Trish's friendship has grown stronger.
We'd keep in contact a good bit through Facebook, and, you know, I'd often call over to her house for like glasses of wine. We got to know each other's friends, which was lovely as well, and we'd often just go out in town and go for pints and meet up, and she gets on great with my friends.
You know, when they're being in shoes and they're walking into the ring, they have music playing, so they get to pick their own song, what they want played when they're doing
But all the good songs I've taken, like Eye of the Tiger, is gone
what did you
10
play?
years ago. What was the first one?
That was you did I Get Knocked Down But I Get Up Again. He got knocked down, but he ended up
You know, we're quite similar personality-wise as well. Things that you wouldn't think you'd be similar in, and people would say, oh, you know, God, look, both of you are saying the same thing, and like thinking the same thing, and, you know, small little details like that you'd see a bit of a connection with.
Are you really Elayne?
Yes, I am.
As we were accepted straight away into our family and she was accepted into our family, we kind of became just one big family rather than two separate families. My daughter did flower girl at our wedding and I was her bridesmaid with her other sister.
Then all my relatives at the wedding were, you know, they'd say, who's the bridesmaid? Oh, that's Trish's sister. And you could just see them going, it's not. So they know her now, which is good.
Good boy. No. Good boy.
I'm crazy about horses. I've always had horses. And her daughter rides as well. And coincidentally, she was in the same stables I was in, which was nuts, like.
They love each other. They love each other. Like, Trish just idolises her, you know, and she loves Trish, and she loves telling her about when she's in the stables, and Trish will go up and see her in her lessons as well, events she can. They have a great bond.
In the 7 years since Trish and Elayne met, neither of them has had contact with their birth mother.
I never had a huge curiosity about meeting my birth mother. I think it was because she'd never come forward and left a letter or left any kind of information about her. I realised that she probably wasn't into it or couldn't get into it.
Then, out of the blue, on Christmas Day, Elayne and Trish received a text from their birth mother.
Like, Trish is 33 and I'm 32, and we've never received a message off her on Christmas Day. So it's more a case of why this particular moment.
It just seems bizarre that, you know, she carried you around for 9 months and gave birth to you, and you've never met her, you know, you've never seen her.
There's so much of their lives that she has missed out on. Like their communions, their birthdays, their debs, their boyfriends. And then, of course, she's missed out on joy as well. That's the worst part for me, that she's missing out on her.
You know, you can say in a text, I'd love to meet up, but it's actually following it up is the next bit. And I don't know whether she will. I just don't know whether she will.
I think now, I don't think it matters as much as it probably would have. And because myself and Trish have met, we know that we've always got each other now. You know, nobody will ever come between that.
It's just been lovely. It's just kind of shook the foundations I always thought I had, but in a really good way. I'd never really thought about being part of a genetic line before, or having even a family tree, and now I'm really proud that we have this little V of a family tree.
We're kind of a bond now. Like, we're not on our own anymore, you know. There's two of us now, so.
If you've been affected by any of the issues raised in this programme, please see our support page at tv3.ie/helplines.